Here, I keep track of my hat. It's about 102 hours. It's like, yeah, sleep well at night, though. I do. But I'm up at about 2:33 a.m. to get started again.
Oh, it's here. I am doing it.
Okay. Hey, Tom, did you keep up with my emails earlier?
Hey, what?
Did you keep up with my emails earlier?
Yeah. See my
Sorry.
response?
No,
Oh, okay.
actually.
Thanks, but so if you didn't see them, then okay, we can't.
At a minimum, the articles added, though, was my big. That was one of the reasons why we
I think it's a major new draft.
Right. But that was one of the reasons why we started this too. And yeah.
But, it's only I've seen it so far, so we have everybody here. I don't know how. Yeah, either, but. And it's streaming. Okay, I guess we go.
You're streaming. I'm watching.
All right. Okay. Welcome to the March 16th meeting of the Conservation Commission in Newfields, New Hampshire. Chairman Allison Watts, Chairperson Allison Watts cannot be here tonight, so I am stepping in as chair. We can go around the room and introduce ourselves.
Hi, Chris McDade.
Caleb Fields.
Chris Chamalaris.
Josh Lent, Tom Redberg.
Lauren Hill. Caitlin there taking minutes.
I guess I should say.
Mark Casper.
And Mark remotely.
Yeah.
So we're officially starting at 7:02. So we have today. I would propose that we switch up the order a bit. So we have Gina Thomason, president of the Garden Club, is here to discuss the rain barrel program and some changes that have occurred since the meeting last month. Thanks for coming again.
Thank you. Conservation.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. I think we know some part of this, so. Okay, thank you for another opportunity to speak to the committee with regard to the rain barrel initiative. I just wanted to update everyone in talking with Dr. Hill. Basically, we decided that other company it wasn't worth doing. It was too expensive. Especially, I think I'm overly sensitive with regard to the cost of everything right now. And to ask everybody to spend $80 on a rain barrel might be a hard thing to convince them of. So anyway, what do I do in my spare time? Well, I'd pick up 12 rain barrels at a local vendor. These are food grade. They just need to be washed. We'll clean them up. Each barrel was about $20 a piece. We got the brown ones primarily because it'll decrease the amount of algae formation in them, so they're a better product. So a little bit costly. To set them up, we need a spigot and we need a barrel screen. So looking at our best guess, Amazon, the spigots are about $12 a piece. What I've learned with having my own rain barrels, it's better to have a better spigot because all they do is blow out and then you have a real mess on your hands. So we're not conserving much water. And then the rain barrel screens, we found about $8.75, which my husband and folks from the Garden Club would be more than happy to participate in setting them up. My husband, because he has nothing better to do. This is a model. This is I think a quarter of the size. So he created these for a stand. so that we could sell them separately. He's trying to get cedar, and again, because of the cost of everything. I told him nobody's paying $30 for these. I want to try and sell them for about $10 so that people will set them up and make it a successful endeavor for people to consider rain barrels. So I just wanted to say, like, this is what we're doing. What I would like to ask the Conservation Committee is a couple of things. In working with the Water Department, I am meeting with Bill tomorrow to talk a little bit about the rain gardens. We want to try and do kind of an education program around the plant sale time to try and get people, because they'll be in bloom. It'll be great, I hope. Keeping our fingers crossed. If we don't get more snow, who knows? But also, what I'm finding in talking to people in the community is that nobody believes that we're in a drought. We just had 4 feet of snow on the ground. So I think it's important that a collaboration maybe between the garden club, the Conservation Committee, and then the Water Department really needs to be had, because nobody's going to conserve water. They don't believe it. We had the best snow we've had, as we always say, ski the east, not the west this year. Okay, so people are having a hard time. And if we want to see, we're doing a trial and error with regard to the rain barrels. We did sell 4 a couple of years ago. But we're trying to expand this and make this maybe part of the garden club in the future, because I really feel it's important, and it's really part of what your credo is here, is trying to convince people to conserve water. So that's my update. Any comments, recommendations? As far as maybe Conservation Committee education that you guys would like to provide, maybe a table at the plant sale, somebody could sell basically promote the rain barrels and just say, this is what we're doing. I also found, just for point of information, I wasn't copying this. I couldn't believe it. I pressed print and it was 60 pages. I was like, oh no. But anyway, New Hampshire has a fabulous whole component manual on stormwater management. So these are able to be printed, but there's a whole section on rain barrels. And I think it's important to tell people how to set them up, how to keep them clean, how to winterize them, and just make it part of their routine per se, and setting them up. Like once we have regular temperatures above 50, outside of tonight apparently, just setting up our rain barrels while it's raining. I want them filled as much as they can before it starts getting dry. So this is like a really good, I can leave a copy. I made several copies if you wanted to look it over as well, but this is really very comprehensive. The state did a wonderful job on this one. I can leave this here.
Good, thank you.
It talks a little bit about like rain gardens. It talks a lot about rain barrels and just conservation in general. So that's update. So we would love to participate and get this going, because more people that buy it, the more success we'll have as far as getting people to conserve some water and getting the word out. Outside of the newsletter, the library's newsletter, is the first time I had heard that we're still in a drought. So
it's been on a lot of the news reports, weather reports.
I hear that. Watch the words. Okay. Who wants to believe that? You had 4 feet of snow. People don't understand the ground's frozen. The water's not going into the ground. It's kind of going into the river. So I just think it's really important, as opposed to, we're even asking Bill whether we can do the planters. If there's no water, we can't do planters. It's a garden club. So, and that kind of stuff. So.
Remind me about the timing. So the plant sale is
Memorial Day weekend, that Saturday from 8 to 12. Okay. We usually stop about 11, to be honest with you, with the parade and that kind of stuff.
And is the intention to have pre-sold barrels, or?
We could definitely going to put it as part of our pre-sale if people want them. We can definitely do it. My plan is before they go on, before we go online, that all the barrels will be set up and ready to go. But that would be a great thing if we could sell even 6 of them. I mean, I have a barn, but come on, help me here. So, but I mean, I'm going to probably take a couple of myself, to be honest with you, because I relied on them all summer long. Yes, Doctor.
So I'm actually going to be around this Memorial Day weekend, first time in a long time. So I'd be willing to do the two.
Well, that would be great. I just want to try and get some,
I mean, I have 3 myself and they're like, they fill up with 1 hour rain.
we're just trying to, like I said, we have somebody and I'll try and get some education pieces, 1-pagers. I'm trying not to use paper, but even if we have a QR code, different sites to this site, people can look up on. I just think that if they see a 66-page item, I'll read it, but not too many other people are going to read it. I just wanted, how to set it up. 1, 2, 3, just to make it easy. And then just to have somebody there to talk about it. I will talk to Bill because he's in charge of the water department. So we'll talk to him about having people and convincing the community. Because last year there was a water restriction. People were watering their lawns all the time. I got slapped on the wrist, but I used my rainbows.
Will you be there? You guys have a Facebook page, right?
We do.
So will you be putting some of this information out?
Oh,
on
man,
your own?
you bet.
Okay.
These are our biggest kind of.
I know the
money
mail
maker.
sale is always big, but I just wondered if you would.
This is definitely going to be a
talking
component
about
of it.
the
The
garden.
club was totally behind, doing something like this. And again, I'm very much, as the new president, I'm very much into partnering. I don't believe in recreating the wheel. Please give me a break. We're all really busy. We all are volunteering our time. And, if this is going to be a great collaboration between your committee and trying to promote conservation as far as water is concerned, we're all for it. And then the water department will be my next pit stop.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see how else we can help you because we don't currently have an ongoing education
We
activity.
got all you guys. You're the education. That's all you need. Or you could help my husband make these. He'd be so happy, but you gotta bring this. I was like, all right.
Very nice.
It would be nice, especially, this is what he did for business. So he loves to
Great.
make wood things. He does wood really well. So thank you again for your time. I can leave a time. You have my email. If anybody wants to reach out to me for any reason, but I thank you for volunteering just to support the rain barrels, get the word out. I don't know what else to do. I don't know, how you guys get information out as far as community.
One other thing or avenue of outreach to consider is some event at the library, like a talk about rain barrels and how to set them up and keep them clean.
To me tomorrow after I talk to Bill, because he got a grant for the 2 rain gardens. So, and there's a really great promo about rain gardens that is from the New Hampshire kind of outreach thing. And he wanted somebody from that department to present. So I was just looking for a date. Originally, I wanted to do it on Earth Day because I thought that would be appropriate. He said he couldn't pull it together fast enough. So I said, okay, then let's see. And then I just moved it towards May-ish. We'll find out what works best. And again, I want to get the word out. If there's really a issue with regard to watering things as the garden club, I want to make sure that we're participating in the appropriate ways. So that's just my 2 cents anyway. All right, so enjoy. There will be a quiz on that. So page after page and all that other stuff. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Sure.
The overlap between the garden club and the conservation commission is quite large, really, kind of their similar intentions. And the garden club, has a larger member list, but there's about 12.5 very active, engaged individuals. And I'll just put this out there to the online portion of the meeting,
Oz.
people that are interested in community events where you are involved with gardening. The garden club is a great organization, and maybe more of a broader land use interests, the conservation commission. So lots of areas where people can contribute.
Yeah, we're going to actually start sponsoring. We're 501c3.
Yeah.
I know I always we're very slow, but so we're trying to collaborate even further collaboration this year with all the other nonprofits in the community, so that again, we're not recreating the wheel. It's like a competition. It's like crazy sometimes. It'd be really good if we can, divide, conquer, or collaborate in this way. Each particular nonprofit doesn't have to pay that much. So since we all have great ideas, and I'm really into trying to increase the volunteerism in this town. We're a small town with a big budget. So, it's just really important that people try and volunteer when they can. It makes part of the community too. So that's important. So thank you.
You?
Expect to see your names flying a rain barrel. A great stand. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
It's your husband too. All right, next up on the agenda is the treasurer's report.
Get my glasses out. So I sent you all a copy of the report, so I'll just reiterate, we have the two accounts. Both accounts are continuing to increase based on interest that we receive, dividends really, because of the type of the account. So our conservation account is, as of the end of February, $75,196.89. Increasing by $211.22 in dividends. And our current use account is $21,639.30, increasing by the dividend amount of $60.82. And both of those accounts have had no expenditures against them. The only expenditure the past month was against the operating budget.
Great, thank you. At this point, it's typical to put a motion forward to accept the report.
It
However,
has been, although Allison commented it didn't need to be
right, I
done.
was going to bring it up again. So I read the Roberts Rules of Order, and it specifically cautions against making a motion to accept or approve the routing of a treasurer's report. And the reason is the treasurer's report is an informational report, not an audited financial statement. So it reflects the treasurer's account of organization finances at a point in time, but has not been independently verified. So accepting it or approving it would imply that we've like confirmed its accuracy. So I will say acknowledged and thank you.
Sounds good to me.
Next up, we have.
I just want to say one thing. So,
Yes.
Chris, very good presentation of this. It's great. It's nice and it's all there. That's the right information.
It doesn't visibly change a lot. The graph doesn't add much, but at some point we may spend some money. At some point we should be getting some money in from the current use tax that's coming in. And if anybody were ever wanting to donate to conservation in the town, we might get some money in from that.
Yeah, going forward, just, great consistency. So even if it's kind of flat right now, good to have.
It's growing,
Yeah, glad to see it.
but growing.
That's good.
Minutes. I wasn't in attendance at last month's meeting, so I'll abstain from this, but everybody reviewed the minutes from last month. Welcome, Caitlin. The first meeting I had with you.
I've reviewed them, what she sent, and fine to me.
Great. And I like the format, like the draft thing across it and the links in there. It was nice and readable, and I could catch up easily. So yeah, worked out good.
I welcome any feedback if anyone wants to see any changes.
Okay, great. Would anyone like to do a motion? I don't know if I can because I wasn't there.
Motion to accept the minutes.
Awesome. Yeah.
Favor?
I,
Yeah, great.
Are you technically abstaining from that one?
Yeah. All right, next on the agenda, monitoring reports follow-up. So regarding the Anderson easement, the Concom sent a letter to the Vernons requesting that they relocate the fuel cubes out of the easement. This was a request as opposed to a demand. The Vernons have replied back and they will move the fuel cube the next time it is filled. I think that's the only point we had on monitoring reports follow-up. Anything else to add? Right. Next item is membership terms and renewals. So Allison Watts is willing to continue for another 3-year membership term, and Tom as well.
I did, yeah.
So with that, I make a motion recommending that the select board reappoint Alice Watts and Tom Redberg as commission members and Dan Blemmings as an alternate member, with the asterisk that we're gonna update the bylaws to handle appointments.
I second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I don't know.
Everybody else.
That's great, thank you.
Items 2 seconded.
I second, yes.
Okay, anything to add to membership terms and renewals? Okay. Number 6, bylaws. So discuss current state and whether we should approve at this meeting. So but I did review the YouTube footage of the meeting last month, so I have a little bit of the gist, the discussion. So if you want to, anybody want to open it up to?
I think I'll open up this way in that I think it was 2 weeks ago. I put on the shared drive and sent everybody an email that they were up for review draft 1 and you could look at it. And I didn't copy it in the email. It was on the share folder. And so the first question is, did everybody get that and look at that? And I've been out of town a little bit as well. So, Josh, could you?
I did.
Yeah.
And I put some comments on it and Allison had also commented. So those were the only comments I saw, but I didn't check early this week to see if anybody else had commented.
I added a few comments.
Within the text.
Yeah, well, or on the drive,
Yeah.
yeah.
Are you the mystery? Yeah. There's contact unknown for the comments.
Oh, I think mine went through as my personal,
Yeah, it was you and then Allison was Newfields Concom.
yeah,
And then there was an unknown.
no, okay, that must have been Chris.
So, so that went out and it looks like everybody did have access because I proceeded to leave town. Really fully engaged immediately after that. And comments were made. I just wanted to emphasize that one section of the bylaws we approved last December, I believe, and 2 sections were tentatively approved in January that were embedded in there. So it took those portions and then built out the other sections to it. Besides the comments that were within that drive, which I don't have, I don't have it here to review each one of those. Does anybody want to bring up their main comments? And I guess I'll do that prior to mentioning that Caleb did a big revision. Okay.
Oh,
It was over the course of the last, excuse me, couple of weeks, but I responded back to you on it today, and it's, the gist of it is yours, just with some legal clarifications on some of them and adjustments. But there was one thing that I threw in to you and Chris, was articles that I think are missing from the overall. And I mean, I can go back on there tonight and share them with everybody, but the bylaws cover certain things, but I think it's missing some pretty important articles as well going forward. But some of them too, that's why I wanted the two of you to kind of look them over a little bit and see. You mentioned before, like bylaws, and then almost like a instruction book to the side, if you will, for somebody coming in as well. So I didn't know if those other articles would be put into the bylaws or if they should be saved for like kind of a side.
what are the other articles?
They cover the other articles on top of what Tom's already got on there is external review and guidance, and then bullet points going from there. Reliance on facts and data, and bullets going from there, and professional conduct and ethics. But it had been brought up in one of the other meetings, like some of the articles not necessarily being in the bylaws, but as Tom had brought up before, like, hey, here's a folder to read through kind of thing. Like, do we put that as a side note or do we include it in the bylaws? And those were things like I had handed out something months ago to everybody, and I thought those are articles that should be included because we're missing them and most towns have those in them.
I think, furthering your detail, the bylaws, in my estimation, are operating procedures so that we can say this is how we do things and not just rely on things like we will follow the law, we will follow policy, because those are just circular arguments really in that case, or they have to go to town council. So I think it was operating procedures. And I thought we would have some policy documents that would go alongside of it. So one of the items, though, I think the number one item that is not in the bylaws that in my mind maybe isn't a policy document, but ought to be in there, is protocol for site visits, which you had that in there. And that's, some bylaws in the state have and some don't. But it's not a terrible thing, but it would be a whole new section of the bylaws. And I think we can debate that here and, come up with a consensus. I don't really, other than it's going to add a half a page to the bylaws, don't really have any issue with that. But before we go on to that one, the other ones that were in there, if I recall, were things like the code of conduct, mission statement, things like that, I think are more separate documents and living documents and not part of, because they're really not operating procedures in my mind to have that. But the site visit is one that, that you added that in my mind was maybe better to put in the bylaw than as a policy document. So is there agreement that the site visits probably should be in there? Or because they're not in the draft one that you all looked at? And if there is, then that section, is a change that we will add and then review it.
It'd be good to see the terminology.
That's true.
To say, I mean, I think any of the ones that Caleb mentioned makes sense in the bylaws if they're short enough and reference the appropriate laws so we don't repeat what's already in the legal, because that'll be updated. So you kind of want to reference relevant documents. And I think it's always good to have something about professional services and so forth. And it's the other ones that you mentioned, Caleb, seem like they're all reasonable things if we can make them short and reference the appropriate legal requirements that we're intending to operate under. It seems like those would be useful to add at this point in time.
I think I agree with that because they're not really going to guide any procedural things, but the bylaws are a public document and they're a little bit for smoothing out the document, for the public to read them and kind of maybe understand some of our better intentions.
Yeah, and to hold the committee members to account.
Okay, so it seems like overall there's some updates that not everybody has reviewed. So I think the chances of us packing all that today is not going to happen. Could we focus only on the appointments section? Because that's holding up Dan Blemmings. Just get that wording done and then we can agree on that. And then
I thought that one was one that was already approved. That we had.
In Plum, we haven't officially approved it, I don't think.
Okay.
The only thing to date that I've known we've changed is the ability to update at any point during the calendar year. Nah, that's it.
Okay.
I think so, yeah.
One thing I could try to do is I could try to join this meeting and then share my screen and we can all look at the words up there together.
That one section?
Yeah, do you want to try that? I don't know if
That would be fine with me.
give it a shot.
That's good, Josh.
See how it goes. I'm not put my microphone on, so crazy noises.
While Josh is doing that, we did mention and agree on this going past town council as a final thing. And I hadn't, nobody in the last 2 weeks, emailed and said that this is ready to forward on or anything like that. So that has not been done yet. And is part of what we intended to do. So I think for a variety of reasons, Josh, we're probably not voting on the bulk tonight. And that's one of them.
That actually raises another question I have. Is the planning board then, is the town council gonna vote on accepting our bylaws too, or is that out of there? That's just to us then?
Select board voting on our bylaws? No.
Okay.
No.
Oh, there's Mark.
Hello.
Like the Wizard of Oz.
Yes, I said before, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. I'm listening.
I'm
Can
trying
I
to,
make a suggestion? I mean, if you still have not boiled down or come close to what needs to happen, maybe you put together the best boiled down version for the next meeting and simply vote on it, be ready to vote on it the next time. Give yourself a finite date to be done. No?
Can you repeat that, Mark?
I was I was simply saying, perhaps you give yourself a date of next month to a finite date to get as close as possible to the bylaws being done, if you have to do that behind the scenes, and then you'll have it boiled down as best you can for the next meeting. Can you hear me all right, or is it pretty choppy?
Wonder if, so in talking about distinguishing between bylaws and other, whatever we're calling it, rules, whatever we're calling best practice, the other potential document that we're considering, maybe, as not to circle the drain too many times, maybe, and I don't know what the practicality of this is, but talking to the new town council and asking which things make sense, because bylaws establish a whole different legal bearing than other support documents. And maybe there are some things that we're just kind of chasing our tail, that maybe they don't need to be in this document. They could be reserved for that other document that you've been mentioning, Tom. So I just wonder if some of those things that you're talking about, Caleb, maybe to Chris's point about being super detailed and all that, maybe there's some kind of mention or limitation of that in the bylaw, but maybe the elaboration exists in another document, and maybe.
Oh, absolutely.
So perhaps talking to, if we kind of present, and I'm not hoping not to create extra work for the attorney, but presenting that to them to say which things make good sense to be a part of bylaws. If this area of specialty is municipal law and such, there may be some things that we're
Probably the best bet to save time with the attorney is to propose what we think should be in there.
Yeah.
And then let him or her tell us, what the value is.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if we say, well, we're thinking about this, then it'll take longer because they'll have to read some other things. And if we put it in, they can tell us whether it gives us the legal coverage we need or whatever. I'd rather make some proposals, agree on the language ourselves, that we're comfortable with it, and then have the attorney review the document we would like to propose as final by next month.
And if you can have that boiled down and send it off to the select board, and then I think the protocol has been that Hovey would forward any correspondence to town council.
Lawyer. Okay. Makes sense.
Caleb, those things that you're talking about, do those currently exist? Oh, you have them separately.
I have them separately, and actually the first article is external review and guidance, but that's all I'm saying. Like, do you include that in the bylaws or put it in a separate packet, like Tom had mentioned before, like for a newcomer coming in, hey, here's a folder or whatever, read through
Yeah.
like. And again, if you go through the bullet points, it's, the purpose of doing that. And I put in sources of guidance too, different things that to, fall back on for information. So that's why I said, like, I don't know if it should be in the bylaws or just a secondary source for a member coming in or alternate to read through and have. That's why I kind of kept them
Yeah.
out of the
That
thing.
makes sense.
I think a key thing is this is not created from scratch. So if 6 other towns bylaws were involved, and let's say 4 out of the 6 have a section that says voting, and we have a voting section in ours, it doesn't mean every single one of them has voting, but it means that there's a pretty strong correlation between having a section on voting in the bylaws. So pretty much any section that is in our bylaws is found in the preponderance of other bylaws, but not necessarily all. 1 or 2 might have site visits in the bylaws. Most of them don't, to be frank, but
Lauren has a question.
So Dean has found this incident in the New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions. Conservation commissions are not considered a local land use board and are not governed by RSA 6761. Therefore, bylaws are not a necessary document. Many commissions choose to construct bylaws or other procedural guidelines in order to keep operations running smoothly. To prevent confusion with local land use boards, the best practice is to use the term operational guidelines or commission procedures instead of bylaws.
the only town that does that is Newmarket that I looked at.
No,
They call them bylaws. I think it's semantic in many ways, but I have no trouble with my change in operations.
it's, we're getting mired.
Currently, right now, we have bylaws too, so.
But I think that's very interesting.
And I crashed and burned on the option of streaming and up there. This is a work computer and they didn't allow me to sign into something different.
Yeah, so it's, we don't have the ability to all look at it together, but we did, and I know, Tom, you put a notation in there that we tentatively approved it on January 9th, at the January 19th meeting. We didn't put it up for a vote, but in re-reviewing it, I had one comment. So I don't know if
This is just on the section about
on
membership,
alternates, right?
alternates.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I just had one comment. And I don't know if others had comments or if you kind of default to your January perspective, but in rereading it, I didn't know if this changed or it didn't sink in, but I'll share the one concern that I had. And I think it's just a nuance, but it says so I'll start at the beginning because it's in the third sentence. An alternate may participate in discussion, but shall not deliberate or vote unless seated by the chair. The presiding chair may seat the alternate to serve in place of a regular member who is absent or recused. Once seated, the alternate shall serve for the remainder of the meeting unless a regular member is reseated by majority vote upon arrival in person or by remote electronic access. I think that's a really specific scenario because I don't think you can deny an actual member or require them to be up for a vote to be reseated. I think they have that right as a member. So it sounds like that was intended to be a particular scenario. So I think that either needs to change or be further fleshed out.
So are you saying that at any point a member could walk through the door and sit down at the table?
So, and this is all sort of mitigated by other statements in our bylaws, which say that members are required to notify the chair if they can't be at a meeting. So that would sort of mitigate anybody sort of bursting in and saying, I need to be reseated. But I don't think you can, by law, require a vote to reseat a member because they are a seated member, if that makes sense. So I think it's just the verbiage that I have a challenge with.
Well,
Let's see, I think what I'm reading here is a specific scenario that a member couldn't be here. And I would agree that if they weren't here to be informed about something, then it's kind of hard to have them sit back down. And so that's why I feel like this is intended to explain a particular scenario.
But I think that's the one where the member has to recuse himself, so.
But it says,
As the member is
but it says
here,
absent or recused. So if that's the case, then we should clarify that it's an instance where somebody has been recused.
yeah, because it may only be recused for one topic. And then have the alternate provide that vote, and then the member gets seated back because there's no need to recuse later on. That's.
And I'm trying to think of the scenario back when Derek was talking about when somebody recuses and they the audience, they're not allowed to be up here upon recusal. Then I'm trying to recall what he had counseled in terms of when and how they get reseated.
I think that this scenario really is if the regular member is late, which I can see happening a lot, for traffic or whatever reason. So if a alternate has been already reseated or seated at 7:10 and the regular member shows up at 7:11, they could be, the chair has a decision to reseat the member, or if a topic had already been discussed, keep that. So I think that the flow that I get with a lot of these operating procedures is the chair is presiding over the meeting and does have some discretion over what exactly is happening when. And I think the scenario about, it's not so much recusal, but if something has been halfway discussed and the member has missed it all, then the alternate would probably continue on, maybe for the meeting, depending on what goes on with that. But I think it comes down to a bit of the discretion of the chair. I would have no trouble fleshing that out further. I don't think it has to be recusal. That's a different, and that is covered in the new.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it could be reworded to be more clear that it's specifically for people that are late.
So that was the first two paragraphs, Chris, of what we voted on last. It's okay if we want to change it. You want to continue with the other ones, and we can just see if there's any other problems with the alternate section other than that? Maybe we can get a vote tonight still. I can, but.
Yeah, I don't have any other to that section.
Oh, you don't, okay. So basically it goes on from what he just said to, and we did identify that maybe there was unclarity in that sense. The next sentence reads, and it's not long, when seated, the alternate shall have full voting authority, may deliberate and shall be counted toward a quorum, but shall not exercise any powers reserved for commission officers, okay? Next one, an alternate may remain seated for a specific matter across multiple meetings when the conditions for requiring seating continue, including absence, recusal, or special leave of absence at the chair's discretion. A majority vote of a quorum of regular members may override the duration of an alternate's seating. And that's the section we voted on in January, tentatively, to be okay. Any comments on those? They do clarify a little bit of what we were speaking about, just slightly, but maybe not enough. But it would appear to me that we're not quite ready to vote on the alternate section, but that some minor changes could be made on the shared version, and then comments could be.
well, the challenge then becomes of presenting the candidates, because I think what Josh is saying is we're presenting all the candidates, you and Allison and Dan.
I mean, why can't we just approve it as amended?
There was mention made and interest by Hobie that the alternate would come in when we have the bylaws addressing the alternate approved, as opposed to the previous bylaws where it wasn't even mentioned. So it was.
I think our goal was to approve this so that we could get the alternate in here.
Fair. And I think there's just that one point that was brought up about the a regular member is reseated by majority vote. So if we can clarify that, I think everybody's good with this section, right? So I guess I'll read that part in question again. So once seated, the alternate shall serve for the remainder of the meeting unless a regular member is reseated by majority vote upon arrival in person or by remote electronic access. So what are we trying to say there? That this applies to arrival time and not recusal?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I was just looking at Merrimack, New Hampshire, and they say, and there's if an alternate has been seated and a member shows up late, unless habitually late, this is a problem with a particular member, that the alternate sits for the remainder of the agenda item being addressed. Once that agenda item has been addressed, the member retakes their seat. So it sounds like if it's a habitual problem, and I think I saw that you had something in there, Tom, that it's addressing that issue of somebody that's habitually missing meetings or turning up late, that, and in which case that's that's a problem. But to the point that was addressed earlier about, traffic or snow or something like that, this, it sounds like
Death of a family member.
death of a family member.
I don't think you're
The,
coming in late. You're just not coming in.
So I guess the question is how, and I guess ultimately there are bylaws, so we could pass what we wish, but it sounds like best practice, or at least, I'm
Is
basing.
there a sentence you could pull out of there we could add into here and do it? Or a sentence, we're doing the fly, but
Participate, a late arriving member is entitled to participate and vote on items they have not missed, provided they are present for the discussion. And preceding that, if a member arrives late, they must wait until the current agenda item is completed. Upon the start of a new agenda item, the chair must replace the seated alternate with the regular member.
That makes sense. It's pretty clear.
I had one note on that already too, and the wording was the commission may by majority vote modify or terminate the seating of the alternate. Which would be during the meeting as well.
I thought that one came up. That was later in the paragraph.
It still applies to removing, like during the meeting. Mine was just suggesting a vote removing during the meeting.
Yeah, because he mentioned a quorum could counteract what the chair is proposing.
This, I'm just referring to just the seating,
Oh,
not a proposal going on, just the seating. So if somebody comes in late, okay, all in favor, we move, our primary member back in and it's a quick vote.
that's how it reads, I believe, now.
yeah,
That's how I think it currently is.
yeah. At least that's the way I heard it. So maybe, Tom, you need to repeat it with the updated section if you were able to capture that.
It's just that the section reads that the presiding chair may seat the alternate to serve in place of a regular member who is absent or recused. Temporarily absent, obviously, if they're just late. So it doesn't take in that instance, it does not take a vote to seat the alternate. Okay, but then the next sentence does say, once seated, the alternate shall serve for the remainder of the meeting unless a regular member is reseated by a majority vote upon arrival in person or by remote electronic access. So it is inconsistent that the chair seats the alternate, but the vote reseats the regular member. That's how.
Is that what you were referring to then, Cam?
Yeah, similar, just a little bit different wording to it. That's all. Just simplified wording, I think.
But are you okay if the chair seats the alternate, but then the reseating of the member is can be overruled the chair by the quorum?
Yeah, and then automatically, like in today's case, it's the co-chair then take that responsibility automatically then too.
Yes,
Okay,
Or presiding chair. Yeah.
presiding chairs, yeah, the way it's.
so do you want to add that in then, presiding chair?
That's in the section.
It's a given.
Chair responsibilities are.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a precedence of who. So
I
that
just want to make sure we have the detail on it, so nobody's assuming anything.
it actually says the presiding chair here.
Oh, okay.
So kind of has that covered with that adjective there, but I think if somebody comes up in late and has missed too much content, they would not get a majority vote to be reseated on that topic. I mean, that's up to the rest of the commission basically to agree to that. And I think that covers that possibility of, somebody ill-informed to be added in. It'd be up to the rest of be a majority vote. It's certainly substantial. I don't think there's a weakness here, really.
No, and if the member was late and they wanted to participate in the discussion, they could as a public member of the public, and they just couldn't vote on the topic if it came to a vote.
But I did want to bring up, so in our current bylaws, under the rules for making amendments, these bylaws may be amended by majority vote of the appointed members, provided the proposed amendment has been presented in writing at a prior meeting. So I don't think we can change it right now and vote. If we wanted to pass something or amend it today, we would have to stick with what was previously presented on January 19th. Am I thinking about that correctly?
That sounds correct.
So we could go with that and then
Amend it again.
amend it again, right? Just to get over the hump of this thing.
That may be our best bet. Because I think allows Dan to be,
Tom says this does cover various scenarios.
Mhm. Okay,
we may not,
I mean, you can't list every possible
I don't think it's
scenario,
dangerous, like,
so.
it could definitely be improved for clarity, but
so we can make that suggested improvement when we approve the rest of the bylaws subsequent to this. Which sounds like when we have to have the rest of the bylaws presented in April to vote on them in May.
okay. Do you want me to read through that section that we were good with in January as
No, because you already read that.
there was a second part to that, right? You're all good with? Right,
You all get a chance to read that
okay.
January.
So I make a motion to amend our bylaws, including just wanna cite it here. Including the section for alternate member and select board liaison and appointments that were previously approved on January 19th. And 1 second.
Second,
What's the last thing you said? The previous appointments.
Yeah, that's a section.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's 3 sections there.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a second. All in favor?
I,
Okay. Bylaws have changed. So I will take the action to update the bylaws and send them out to Sue and you guys. Okay. Then how do we continue with the cadence of this? So we need to figure out what we want in writing for the next meeting. So we can approve it at the following meeting.
Yeah, it seems like Tom and Caleb and Chris should continue with the revisions. Consider the comments that others made, the revisions that they discussed and shared today. And they as our sub-team should come back with the recommended bylaws for our discussion. Hopefully, we won't need significant amendments, and then we can vote the following month.
Okay. Good. So we good with that? Move on to the next.
I guess I might make this might ultimately be a motion, but that the bylaws may be amended by majority vote of the appointed members, provided the proposed amendment has been presented in writing at a prior meeting. We're not doing a whole lot of handouts here. So
I know.
I think the in writing needs to be comma or by electronic access at a prior.
I think it's considered writing.
Yeah, I would say so.
You guys covers that? Okay, I'm good if it's.
It doesn't say paper, it says writing, and electronic writing is writing.
Yeah, okay, good.
We all had access.
Okay, next agenda item, resource waste. Tom, I think after the last month meeting, you attended a meeting with the Lamprey River.
Epping. Epping.
Well, I had done that prior to that. So just in summarizing, last couple of months, really, it's only been 2 months. There was a absence of knowledge, of awareness of this entire project in January. And between last month's meeting and this month's meeting, there's been 2 major articles by the Seacoast and Portsmouth paper, and then the Manchester Union Leader. I thought they were decent articles, and I think they were clear, and they laid out the issues with different kind of styles of the different authors, which I think was pretty effective. And I'm aware that it's gone out onto social media locally, so it no longer is something that the public is not really aware of. So I'm pleased to see that happen, because that really was the first thing that did happen. The other thing recently that has happened, and this is something from in our paper mail today, which I have here somewhere, from the Lamprey River Advisory Committee. So this will go into our file, the Conservation Commission, that's paper. And that is a nice strongly worded letter to the Epping Planning Board suggesting that this becomes regionalized. In fact, LRAC on March 5th of last year, over a year ago, made it very clear to 4 people at DES they were speaking to that this was of regional significance. So they have already been on board with that need. And the point that I made at the last meeting was that the Epping boards are the lever by which it gets thrown to the Rockingham County Planning Commission. So it's rather odd, but they hold the lever to do that. And so that's why Lamprey River sent them a letter to recommend strongly that does get regionalized. So I think there's greater likelihood of that taking place. And by the way, the LRAC has a very higher level of authority over the watershed than any town resident or our Conservation Commission or Newmarket and Vale. So LRAC does have some clout in that regard, and cannot be just kind of certainly not brushed off. The other thing that has taken place recently is Steve Paquette of the Great Bay Steward Organization has contacted, the name escapes me, but he's the environmental engineer coordinator for Resource, and about the activities taking place, or the procedure, or the proposal. And the feedback is that there may be another public meeting on the project to be decided, date to be decided. And going along with that, I don't know, it does seem like there is a possibility of a delay of the April 12th decision deadline to accommodate that. So I have no personal awareness of that or been told by DES, but there is some, even in the article, it was kind of mentioned that is a possibility, and that was by somebody, on the authority side. So there could be a delay, and I think that would just allow greater evaluation, in my mind, of some of the detail of the environmental risks being taken on. And I think the big one is the economic aspects of this that might not be fully articulated with respect to the DES. And then I think that really the third item really would be the public interest of a large waste transfer station in this location where it doesn't necessarily seem to jibe with the solid waste treatment plan that the state itself has set up. The need does not seem to exist in terms of an overall public need. Other things are needed by the state, including recycling centers, but not, transfer station was not mentioned.
Tom, would the public meeting be the Epping board again?
The public meeting, it's a little unclear, but the public meeting would appear to be DES driven, with the resource, the proposer, having a greater fact packet and detail on what they're doing there. I'm going to assume a PowerPoint of some kind. Thirdly or fourthly, as I go on here, Brentwood did not, they're in a butter. They did not send an initial letter to DES, but they have sent a letter requesting a delay in the decision to DES. So there's a little bit of momentum going on having this pushed out just slightly. So that is the basic update on that. You know, things have been moving and they continue, and without getting to every single detail, there's quite a few things happening. Is there any comments or suggestions you all have that we as a group might do or I might pursue?
Firstly, thank you for staying engaged with us, keeping everybody updated. With this letter too, we can scan that in to the drive and then hand over the physical copy downstairs.
Good. All right.
Yes, thank you, Tom. Tom brought this up right from the get-go, and we kind of ran with it a little bit. He brought it to the select board, and then it was being announced through social media just because of his first initial query into this. So really very thankful for him stepping in and being a thorn in their side, as well as the rest of us. So thank you, Tom.
Well, sure. It's a big operation that's being proposed here, and it really needs a lot of sunlight on it. Immense amount of sunlight, at the very least.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
What else do you think we could do in the meantime? Is there something else that we could do individually? Sending out more emails or?
Mark, I think the thing we need now is maybe a little more fleshing out of what the public may wish to do or may not, as well as what we seek more in detail.
Okay.
You know, Mark, or the select board, you know, say with you, if DES, you know, called and said, you know, what does the town want? And you have to tell them, it would be good to have that drafted. And I've written some notes down and all that, but nothing has really been adopted at this point. But I think, as I mentioned, the major objective is getting more illumination of this has taken place. And so I'm pleased about that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Now we're in the correspondence section of the agenda. So the first one was the rain barrel program, took care of that. Next, NHACC, so the New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions, thanked us for renewing our membership. Third item is salt marsh restoration. So on March 11th, Lynn Vaccaro of Great Bay NERR, which is a National Estuarine Research Reserve in Greenland, reached out via email seeking our advice and support of 2 marsh restoration projects. So the 2 local marsh areas of focus are Chapman's Landing Marsh in Stratham, so that's just over the 108 bridge, and Lumberland Creek Marsh in Newmarket. The marshes are showing signs of degradation, including more standing water, less vegetation, and eroding edges. Lynn is asking for general interest from the Conservation Commission. She offered to attend a Newfields COMCOM meeting to provide more information. And there is also a Salt Marsh Task Force meeting on April 16th, which is a Thursday. That's hosted by Great Bay, NERR, and DES Coastal Program. So the meeting will foster coordination and technical review. There will be field trips to each marsh in the morning, and then discussion and planning in the afternoon. So some general questions from that. One, is the Newfields CONCOM able and interested to support this effort? I think it's pretty important. Like they're the nursery of our bees, and they're very close to us. Number two, would someone like to attend the April 16th meeting? Again, it's a Thursday.
I can't.
Oh, you
I
can't.
gotta work.
I intend to talk more with the Great Bay people about this, but I will attend.
Great.
You know, I was planning on that anyways, really, but
All things water these
I
days.
think, I think this estuary stuff is very important.
Yes, I agree.
One of the things that they do want, small parts of this, which you mentioned, is getting input from people on the area. And if somebody, if we're aware of people that have familiarity with the estuary, maybe even going back, decades and things, that would probably be good input for them to have. I mean, right now they've got the canoe launch, and then there's the bridge kind of crummy under there. And then I know the salt marsh there is a bit tracked with trails to some degree, people walking around. And then there's above that is, I think it's Stratham's Garden Club area, which is kind of nice in the woods there. That whole area.
That's actually the Discovery Center.
Discovery, they do that too. Yeah. That whole area is
Yeah,
tremendous,
did
but a
that.
little bit.
Help with
Yeah.
the basin.
Yeah, so really they requested the Conservation Commission to be of interest and involved, but citizens that have kind of experience with that area would be great. So I don't know, it's some people have some footprints here for a long time, Caleb, maybe yourself, with friends and things. That might be the type of people they would love to have input from.
And I can see this being like, there was some talk at the last meeting a lot about subcommittees, and having a marsh subcommittee, I think makes sense. And we can even use some of our funds to send out a mailer around town with the specific ask of, hey, we've got these marsh problems, and then you wouldn't like to lend a hand. So at least we would, make everyone aware. And I think that would be a good use of our money. But how much is a mailer for like $500 or so? Like,
Yeah, about $500 because we just did one for the safety project that didn't end up passing, but that was about $500 for 8.5 by 11, nice quality.
yeah, that's a high quality one. Yeah.
Does the social media stuff reach better than the mailers, or what's,
No,
cause that's, free, and there's what, 2 Newfields pages?
yeah,
Well, there's the official town page, and then there's 2 or 3 unofficial pages that people
Yeah,
manage.
but I mean, do those hit better? Do people read those better
I
than
think
mailers?
it varies depending on the age of the
Yeah,
people.
because that's free. I'm just,
it is free, yeah.
yeah, throwing that out there.
Maybe we just do both.
Yeah.
And
We're going to send out a mailer depending on the timing, what Tom finds out of it, unless you're talking about getting somebody for the April meeting. It does take like 2-3 weeks for them to, like you have to provide the print, and then it takes 2 or 3 weeks for them to get it ready and get it into the mail.
Yep.
But if we were going to send out something and it wasn't time urgent, it might be good to discuss the various things where we would want committee members and other things and see if we can come up with 2 or 3 things so that
Yeah, we're back.
a little bit more interest and value out of the mailer.
Yeah. And maybe we could put the rain barrels on that too.
Yeah, exactly.
And perhaps Lynn would provide some verbiage to plug into that mailer. Another,
Should we put a word out to her that we would like her to come in and talk to us?
Seems like it makes sense if we're going to.
I had on my agenda that, we're due to have a visitor speak. We want to have a few in the year, really. We haven't even talked about it yet. So I think that would be a great one. And maybe a little more of their broader remit on what they do besides just this restoration thing. That was my goal. So I would make a motion that we invite the Great Bay and ERR people, either Lynn or Corey or one of them over there, to come speak. Do a little PowerPoint here. We'll have to set something up like we've done last year and give them 25 minutes or so at probably the May meeting, I think. I don't know if April's pushing it, but we could ask them, but I guess we could offer the April meeting too.
Yeah.
Yes, we're going to miss this deadline, but I don't think that's the key thing here necessarily.
okay. If you were going to respond back to Lynn about being on that, on the 16th, would you invite her as well for that?
Yes, yep. Great. As long as everybody thinks that's a good idea.
Yep, that's awesome.
Well, even the rain barrels, like how much presence do we reach like online? Is it worth having her come back and not speak to us necessarily, but the broader community for a couple minutes again? Like,
I don't know how much we do on that. I actually rewatched that YouTube video of last month and I finished it today and there was 32 views on the YouTube video. So wasn't super
I was
impressive.
thinking when she was doing that, like, hey, just come back next month,
Oh, yeah.
do your thing again. But yeah, if it's 32 views and you were a couple of, all right, never mind, scrap that idea.
Yeah.
On the note of community involvement in committees, I was just thinking as we were talking about the salt marshes, I'm just wondering if there's any way to get involved with, so both of my high schoolers are over at the Seacoast School of Technology, which is the old Exeter High School. And they have a animal and plant science program as one of the, I think they have 12 different programs. Neither of my kids are in that particular program, but they do look to get kids involved with community to work on different projects. And it seems to me that could be something that might be able to get plugged into something like that, the community component of that. If they're working directly with, somebody from Great Bay Learning Center or whatever the case may be, there seems to be maybe an educational component beyond just the giving back to community. I'm just wondering if I touch base with the school over there. Could just
That'd be great.
at least get kids involved.
Mm-hmm. Nice, good thought. Okay, so keep thinking about ideas about how to spread the word and support this initiative, and hopefully we'll talk to Lynn soon in person. Okay. That is the last agenda item. Anything else to bring up?
Yeah, I just had a question. Mark, have we heard anything from CSX?
No, they gave me a flat no on the first one, and then I sent out an email to some of the senior people at CSX, and they did not answer. So I'm going to try another swing at that, and I'm not sure how far we're going to get, but we'll try again.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Did they give any specificity on why?
No, I got an email from a general mailbox, which was a no reply mailbox, and I have a software program where I can pull up, contacts from any company. So that's how I found some of the senior people. Sent an email over to them. No response.
Speaking of the Great Bay people, they are right by that railroad there, if you've been there. And they have dealt with the railroad and I inquired about the railroad and dealing with them with Lynn and Corey, and I think we didn't quite get an answer on that, if they had any names to drop or anything on that, but that would be useful. I did ask,
Worth a try.
it's Garbly, Mark, what did you say?
Worth a try.
Worth a try.
It's worth a try.
I said
yeah,
it's worth a try. I'm
It
sorry.
is worth a try, yeah. And then the New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions, she did not really have anything to offer with respect to railroad right-of-way areas, so I tried there too. But we should keep trying. I think we should keep trying. I would encourage that. I think we get the right place, we'll get some satisfaction.
And that's a particular piece of land that they own, so that's the interest there. But the other thing to keep in mind is electric companies are often required to do something to support communities if they've had to do something else, to take out vegetation or disrupt. Is all of Newfields serviced by Eversource? So that might be another one where I haven't seen a lot of evidence that they're doing anything, but something to watch out for in terms of places where sometimes they'll give back, kind of more than you might expect, because there are legal requirements for them in many places. I don't know if that's true in New Hampshire or not, might not be, but.
There are state statutes that address railroad lands and parks and things. Like, we're not the first people in the state to be dealing with this. And there's a lot of large parks, I think, in the state that really are railroad lands, so at least partial easement rights. So I think there's some other avenues, maybe even through Concord, that we can do.
What's your idea to reach out to Eversource on them?
I just something to follow up on to see if there's any place that they're looking to spend some money to counteract some activity they've had to do, because sometimes there are requirements that if they've had to diminish an area because of the need to provide power and so forth, that they can make up for that by investing in another area and either refurbishing it or, offering land and
You
so
want
forth.
them to kind of look at that?
Well, I'm just saying, I was just curious if we knew about that, because CSX, the parcels we're talking about are very specific parcels that abut, other land, but there might be other things that we as a commission can do to be aware of programs or other sources of investment, so to speak, in land or marsh or water quality or whatever. So it just as an idea, I haven't fleshed it out. I don't have a specific recommendation. I was just asked.
I have some good connections with high ups in Eversource, and I'll just follow up with them and
Oh, that'd be great.
see what their ideas are then.
Yeah, just see if there's anything that's open to a community like ours that, we could build on to support our general mission. That'd be fabulous. Yeah, thank you.
Cool. Good question.
Just one question for clarity. So these amendments to your bylaws are allowing you to submit for the alternate, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So if you wouldn't mind just sending an email to us to that effect, so we have it in writing, and then we'll go forward from there.
Sure, I'll do that. I'll update the bylaws and copy everybody and include that blurb. Yep.
Yeah, because it's both the alternate and Allison and Tom need to be recommended to the select board.
Right. So if you just send me that little blurb as well. We have decided to XYZ, and just give me the details on that.
And Dan also, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Anything else?
I've got three other announcements to make. First off, tying with rain barrel thing a little bit, April 18th or 19th is a rain date, is the town cleanup day. And that's the weekend before our next meeting. So this is the last meeting before that. So that is the town cleanup. And I think I'll be there with my wife, and it'd be great to have other Concom people present, to help clean up.
Yeah, my husband and I always do that.
And it's also, the garden club will have something going at that event, and maybe there'll be, some other informational thing for the people that sign up. They usually sign up right outside the town hall here. So that's April 18th, most likely on that Saturday, which is
Like
a
9 to
big day in the town, and
I'll give you an
all
update.
spotless after that. Second thing I want to bring up is that on May 8th, or no, excuse me, May 9th, Saturday, is Turtle Fest 2026, which really is driven by the Newmarket Concom people. It's fantastic. It's a full day. I've got a little sheet starts at 9 a.m. There are good speakers that talk about turtle habitat, turtle issues and risks in the state, road issues, things like that. There's going to be a section on raptors and things tied in with that. Then there's going to be, several breakout type things, and then a field trip in the afternoon to look at, some turtle habitats. And we are in an area of some turtles that are common and some that are risk and some that are endangered. So we're in a very important turtle habitat area. And it's just a fun event, and it is adult friendly, I think, and kid friendly. Everybody can enjoy that one. So that's May 9th. And then the last thing is on Wednesday of this week, I'm going to be attending a session on outdoor recreation planning guide. So New Hampshire has an Office of Outdoor Recreation Industry Development in collaboration Division of Planning and Community Development. So I think it's an important thing, a reach out thing within the state that ties in with the Concoms. And this actually came through NHACC organization that sent that to me. So I'm going to see what that's all about, because some portions of some parcels that we have are related to recreation in this town. So I think it'd be good to learn a little bit more about what they might have to offer at that meeting and what we can learn from that. And I'll present that at the next meeting. Anything comes up. So that is it, Josh.
Keeping busy, Tom.
Keeping busy, yeah. There's so many great resources and things to do. So great to be retired.
Yeah, thanks for digging in. Okay, last call. What else? Okay, I call the March 16th, 2026 meeting to a close at 8:22. Second? All in favor? Aye. Okay, great, thanks.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, you too.
I've reached out.
Bye-bye.
I think he's a director for Eversource for
Yeah,
Southern New Hampshire.
Wow.
And he already said, he goes, yeah, we'll throw money towards different communities. So what specifically do you want me to ask him?
They've got a grant program